Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sana Faruqi, Assistant Professor from the Department of English, BSSS Bhopal. I would like to welcome you all on the fourth module of the lecture series on communication. As you can see the screen, today I am going to focus on the topic called monologue and a dialogue. Now, before going for this topic, I just want to ask you a question that are you a monologuer or a dialoguer? Let me reframe the question. Do you monologue with people or dialogue? Do you have any idea about these two terms which have been written on your screen? Monologue, dialogue. What does it mean? We'll try to dissect these two terms and we'll try to understand the meaning of it. This is a very interesting topic from communication, topic, and yes, but these two terms have been taken from literary concept. So what is it? Try to understand this slide, find out the difference. We'll try to understand this particular topic with these two pictures. In first picture, this man has been talking at other people. Just try to focus on the preposition being used here in this video. In the first one, at has been written, whereas on the second one, with has been written. So the first one, the man has been talking at other people, whereas in the second picture there is a communication going on and the title has been written with other people. So you can see by these two pictures we can try to understand that somewhere the title has been justified, that in picture number 1 this man, maybe a boss, has been talking to the subordinate and he has been ordering, maybe being so oppressive and opinionated and somewhere dominating the employee, whereas in the second picture there is a communication, two-way communication can be found here. Man must be talking and then must be getting a response from the lady. So this is a picture which is representing dialogue and the first one is representing monologue. Now we will try to understand these two terms in the next slide. What is monologue? Monologue, let's have a look on the dissection of this term. Mono and then log. A long speech. Monologue is a long speech by one actor in a play or film or as part of theatrical or broadcast program. It's a long, tedious speech by one person during a conversation. Monologue is a Greek word meaning mono means alone, whereas logo means a speech. When one person is continuously talking to somebody, in a group or some other person without getting any feedback, without getting any response, as if he has been preaching or teaching with no responses, as a feedback, so that's somewhere that is called monologue. So literary device, it is a literary device that is the speech or verbal presentation given by a single character in order to express his or her collection of thoughts and ideas aloud. So these two terms have been somewhere explaining what is the meaning of this particular sentence. So literary device, it's a device which is somewhere who has been speaking aloud without getting any response. Sometimes what happens in class, a teacher is communicating to you or maybe teaching you where you are not getting anything, you are not understanding the topic and you are not ready to give feedback. When you don't understand anything, remember we discussed barriers to communication in the last module. Somewhere if you are not capable to answer, somewhere if you are not retaining any information from the teacher or from the speaker and you are not able to answer, that means that person is a monologuer. He himself is not waiting for the response from the other side. He has been just saying without any break. So this is a monologue. So it is often such a character speaks directly to audience or to other character. We'll try to understand this in a very detailed way in the next picture. Okay, so you can see this is a picture where it seems as if it's a theatre where this man who has been wearing a black colored dress has been talking, maybe enacting, and people have been listening to him and they have been just giving their reactions. Maybe he has been narrating a story or something is going on in a theatre. So what is it? This is called monologue or this is called monologuer. The one who has been saying that monologue is a monologuer. So here he has been performing. maybe in a form of a long speech, a long narration, and he has been just getting expressions of people without any, verbal feedback on it. Whereas in the next slide, we'll try to understand dialogue. So we are done with monologue. Now we'll try to understand what we mean by dialogue. Dia means at least we should have two people in the communication. Dia means two, and log means a speech. So this is a kind of conversation in which a sender is giving you a message and in revert is getting the feedback. So let's have a look on the picture. Here this lady has been saying that you look cute today. So, and the boy has been saying thanks. So one is this lady has been speaking and that man has been responding. So there somewhere here it is two-way communication. So the term dialogue comes from the Latin dialogus. So this is the term from where this term has come. Dialogus is a Latin term which means a Greek word that refers to a conversation between two or more people. So actually it's a Greek term which means communication or conversation between two or more people. So dia and log. Two people at least are involved in this. You are there to get the feedback also. Now next one is we'll try to understand the difference between these two terms, that is monologue versus dialogue. So let us try to understand this monologue and dialogue. What is the difference between these two terms? First one, we are going to understand these two terms with some parameters here. First one is a definition, where its definition is a monologue is a type of a long speech which is given by a character. Just remember that theatre scene where that character was narrating something, maybe preaching, maybe enacting or giving some dialogue there. So a monologue is a type of a long speech which is given by a character, whereas a dialogue is a conversation that takes place between two persons. I am talking to you, if you'll give me a response, this is a kind of a dialogue which is going on between us, and I am a dialoguer because I am expecting response from you. On the other case, if I am not expecting any response and I am just preaching you, that is called monologue. Second is types of communication. Types of communication under which monologue is a one-way communication where I am not expecting you to respond. So it is a one-way communication, whereas in dialogue it is a two-way communication where the cycle would be completed. Third one is a usage. So usage under monologue, a monologue is less commonly used. Whereas in dialogue it is more commonly used. We communicate with friends, with colleagues, with teachers, with family members, where we get responses also. So that is a kind of approach which has been used here as a dialogue. Whereas in monologue it is less commonly used because most of the time there is a chance of boredom in monologue. If I would speak without expecting you to understand anything or reply me anything back, so that would sound very boring. So the next one is somewhere talking about that point only, involving of interaction. So monologue, it involves no interaction. There would be no interaction because one person is going to talk continuously, whereas in dialogue it involves verbal interaction. I am saying something and I will get the response from you in dialogue. Whereas used for, fifth point is the usage. Let's have a look on the monologue. It is used for expressing one's thoughts or ideas, mainly of the character. If I want to express my thoughts, if I have been given a chance to come up with a speech in any platform, on any platform, so I would just give a kind of monologue to you where you all would listen to me silently and try to understand what am I saying to you. So it is for expressing one's thought or ideas, mainly of the character, whereas in dialogue it is used for exchanging thoughts and ideas between two or more people to come to conclusion. So under dialogue, if suppose I have a problem, I would share it with you, you would come up with a solution. So this is somewhere completing a cycle. So it is coming under the category of what approach? That is dialogue. Next one is boredom. As I talked about boredom in the previous topic, boredom means it has a higher chance of getting boring. Under monologue, if somebody would talk to you non-stop without any break, without any pause, and you may get saturation, you may get confused that when would my chance come to speak. So monologue, somewhere it creates boredom at the mind of listener. You would not involve yourself and you would feel sleepy, you would feel that when would it get stopped, and there somewhere you would lose, interest in that communication. Whereas in dialogue, it has lower chances of getting boring because you are ready, you are there to give response. So you have to be very active because you can be asked that what have I taught you or what have I said to you. So in that, I have been making you alert that you need to be on your toes to give me the reply. Whereas the next one is number of characters involved. So how many characters are involved? The terms mono and dia has, these terms have been telling you that how many people are involved in this. So monologue, only one character is involved, mono, whereas in dialogue a minimum of 2 characters can be involved, and it can exceed any number of characters, but minimum 2 is the number. Okay, so this was the last slide of this particular topic, and at last I just want to ask you again that whatever have you learned today, just make a kind of implementation on your communication, that you should not be a monologuer but always should be a dialoguer. Always try and make a kind of communication where you can involve others to participate in that topic. Otherwise you would sound so boring, you would not get any response, and you would not, your speech would not be impactful. So always be a dialoguer and never follow the path of monologuer if it is not required. So thank you so much, and we will meet in the next lecture with some new learnings. Thank you.